What if your vision board is the very thing keeping your dream life out of reach? You've spent months, maybe years, repeating affirmations, meditating with intention, scripting your desires into journals. You've pictured your future so vividly it feels like it should be right around the corner. And yet, your reality stays mostly the same. A glimpse of progress here and there, followed by the same cycles, the same internal doubts, the same distance between who you are and who you're trying to become. This isn't because you lack belief or discipline. It's because you were only given half the truth. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you imagine. It responds to what you broadcast. And no matter how clear your vision is, if the frequency you're transmitting doesn't match it, it simply cannot lock in. You've been conditioned to think manifestation is about asking. But the real shift begins when you stop asking and start being. Today, we go beyond visualization and into vibrational alignment. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Just visualize it, and it will come. They tell you to picture the house, the relationship, the success, to feel the emotion of already having it, to close your eyes and believe with every fiber of your being that it's already yours. And maybe for a while, it felt like something was shifting. A small synchronicity here, a flicker of momentum there. But then, everything reset. The same patterns, the same limitations, the same subtle sense of lack. It's frustrating, because deep down, your vision feels real. You can almost taste it, but something's not clicking. Here's the truth. Vision is only a fraction of the equation. The quantum field doesn't reward the clearest mind. It reflects the most stable frequency. This isn't about how vividly you can imagine. It's about how consistently you can embody. You can script your perfect life every day, but if the signal you transmit through your breath, posture, emotions, and self-concept doesn't align, that vision will stay a concept, never a reality. Because there's a trap most people fall into. They start treating visualization like a performance, projecting elevated emotions during their morning meditation, then living the rest of the day as the version of themselves who's still waiting, still doubting, still lacking. The field doesn't respond to your ritual. It responds to your rhythm. And if your rhythm is rooted in separation, if you feel disconnected from what you want, you broadcast a signal of longing, not having. You reinforce the belief that it's still out there, not in here, not now. This is why so many spiritual seekers stay stuck. They do the work. They journal. They affirm. They watch endless manifestation videos. But all of that becomes another way of chasing, another form of seeking. And the quantum field doesn't respond to seeking. It responds to being. When you chase your desires, you tell the field they're missing. When you become the version of you who has already lived them, the field mirrors that completion. Not because you earned it, but because you stopped contradicting yourself. The truth is, energy doesn't lie. You can fake a smile, fake a mantra, fake an intention, but your body tells the truth. Your nervous system broadcasts what you really believe. That's why you can visualize success while still walking like someone who's afraid of failure. You can picture love while still bracing for rejection. You can speak abundance while still shrinking your presence. And the field reflects what's consistent, not what's convenient. This is where most people miss the mark. They try to override their internal state with surface-level effort. But coherence doesn't come from force. It comes from internal congruence. It means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are singing the same song. And until that song plays from your core, not just your mouth, the field can't respond clearly. Because right now, most people are broadcasting static. A little bit of hope, a little bit of fear, a little bit of confidence, a lot of old programming. And it's no surprise that the field can't respond with precision. Some of what we're exploring here is difficult to say openly. That's why we created Insights Academy, a free private newsletter where we go deeper into the truths YouTube won't allow. Join through the link below, and you'll also receive a free digital copy of the Kybalion, but only for a limited time. You see, your future isn't waiting to be earned, it's waiting to be matched. But that matching doesn't happen through thought. It happens through state, through identity, through consistent embodiment. You're not trying to convince the universe. You're trying to stabilize a signal, The universe already knows what you want. The question is, can it find you? This is why vision alone will never be enough. Vision shows you where to look. Frequency decides whether you arrive. If you keep living from the energy of "it's coming," you're always one step behind. But when you start existing from "it's already here," the field adjusts, not out of obligation, but out of resonance. The moment you stop trying to get your future and start becoming it, everything begins to shift. The greatest illusion in the manifestation world is that the universe grants wishes. That if you ask the right way, say the right words, or imagine the right outcome hard enough, something out there will deliver it to you. But the quantum field doesn't work like that. It doesn't judge or weigh your desires. It doesn't sort through your wants and decide if you're worthy. It simply reflects, not what you say, not what you hope, but what you are, energetically, emotionally, and consistently. This is not punishment, it's precision. The field doesn't listen to your future tense affirmations. It listens to your present tense identity. You can say, "I am wealthy," all day, but if your energy vibrates with fear every time you open your bank app, that's the real signal you're sending. You can declare, "I am loved," while still bracing for abandonment every time someone gets close. The words become irrelevant. The universe is not fooled by language. It tunes to frequency. This is why it's not about convincing the field. It's about becoming coherent with it. People think they're attracting what they want, but in truth, they're attracting what they believe about themselves in the quietest corners of their nervous system. In the in-between moments, when no one's watching, when you're not trying, that's when your true frequency speaks loudest. That's what the field responds to. Not your desire, but your default. And here's the hard part. Your current reality is not a mistake. It's not some glitch in your manifesting ritual. It's evidence of who you've been. It's a perfect reflection of your most dominant energetic state, your baseline identity. Not your dreams, but your default. That's uncomfortable to hear. It forces you to stop blaming timing, luck, or the universe. It puts the responsibility back in your hands, not to control outcomes, but to become a stable match for what you seek. This isn't about guilt, it's about power. Because the moment you realize that nothing is random, you also realize nothing is out of reach. If your current frequency created this version of your life, then a new frequency can create a new one. That's not spiritual fluff, that's physics. The field mirrors coherence. And coherence isn't an emotion, it's a state of being. It's when your thoughts say yes, your body says yes, and your actions say yes, all without contradiction. But let's be clear, this isn't about pretending. It's not about acting as if, in some forced, awkward way. It's not about walking around like you're rich when your rent is due. Embodiment is not performance, it's permission. It's giving yourself full energetic access to the version of you who already lives the life you dream about. Not as fantasy, but as fact. You train your system to normalize it, to breathe it, to walk it, until the field has no choice but to catch up. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you want to hear jazz, you can't be on a rock station. No matter how loudly you demand jazz, it won't play until you change the frequency. Your desires are like jazz. They already exist. But if you stay tuned to anxiety, scarcity, and self-doubt, you'll only hear static. It's not personal, it's just misalignment. The universe isn't saying no. It's saying, "I can't hear you clearly." When your identity shifts, your timeline does too. Not because you forced change, but because you became the change. You stopped transmitting mixed signals. You stopped playing small in one breath and affirming abundance in the next. You chose coherence over contradiction, and the field responded, not with magic, but with mathematics. This is why becoming comes before receiving. Because until your identity aligns with the reality you want, you'll always feel separate from it. But the moment you stabilize your frequency, your life begins to echo that signal in ways that no vision board ever could. You've been taught that if you want something, you must work harder, push, hustle, strategize. That desire without discipline is delusion, and that dreams are earned through grind. It's a compelling story, and in many systems, it makes sense, but not in the quantum field. In this realm, your force doesn't matter, your frequency does. You can take all the right actions, say all the right things, and still end up spinning your wheels. Because if your energy isn't aligned, the field won't respond, not with resistance, just silence. Manifestation isn't achievement, it's resonance. And resonance doesn't care how much effort you're pouring into your goal. It only cares about the signal you're emitting. Are you in tune with the version of you who already lives the outcome? Or are you fighting to escape the version you believe you still are? That distinction changes everything. Most people try to think their way into new realities. They recite affirmations, repeat visualizations, and mentally project into the life they want. But while the mind is busy imagining, the body is still holding on to the old frequency, the old fear, the old identity. That creates static, an incoherence that tells the field you're not ready. Not because you're not deserving, but because you're not yet a match. Real change, sustainable change, doesn't come from pushing. It comes from harmonizing, from tuning your internal state to match the outcome you seek. And that happens not through effort, but through embodiment. You must become emotionally fluent in the reality you want, not just during meditation, but during conflict, during stress, during boredom, because that's when your true signal is tested. Not when things are calm, but when life squeezes you. That's when you either regress into old patterns or stabilize the new identity. Trying harder won't help you here. This isn't about trying, it's about tuning, about bringing every layer of your being into congruence. Your thoughts, your emotions, your breath, your posture, your choices. If even one piece is out of tune, the field picks up on the dissonance, and dissonance delays alignment, not as punishment, but as feedback. Think about the outcomes you've been chasing, really chasing. Maybe it's love, wealth, confidence, peace. Now ask yourself, how often do you feel those things before you see evidence of them? How often do you wake up and feel like someone who's already living that life? If the answer is rarely, that's the issue. Not your effort, not your strategy, but your state. Your emotional baseline is the strongest signal you broadcast. And if your baseline is rooted in waiting, the field will keep you waiting. Because waiting is still separation. It still says, it's not here. And the quantum field only mirrors what is. So the moment you stop waiting and start being, the field begins to reconfigure. Not slowly, instantly. You don't have to see the results right away, but the shift begins immediately. Because when you hold a coherent frequency, the field has no option but to respond in kind. This is why the people who attract the most abundance often seem the most effortless. It's not because they're lucky, it's because they're clear. Their energy isn't diluted with contradiction. They don't say one thing and feel another. They walk in the reality they've already claimed. Not because they're faking it, but because they've trained their system to make that reality feel natural. And that's the key, naturalization. You must become so familiar with the frequency of your future that it no longer feels like fantasy, that it no longer triggers resistance. The version of you who has already made it doesn't force outcomes. They magnetize them. They've dropped the need to hustle for validation or manipulate timelines. They're in rhythm with the reality they once chased. Because now, they are it. So stop asking, how do I get there? And start asking, who do I need to be so that there comes to me? This isn't a mental exercise. It's an energetic upgrade. And once your signal becomes stable, your reality starts echoing back things you didn't even think to ask for. Because in the quantum field, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Most people imagine their future self as someone far away, some version of them that exists once all the problems are solved, once the money is in the bank, once the dream partner arrives, once the confidence finally clicks into place. But that's a trap. The future self isn't waiting on the other side of achievement. They're waiting for you to stop postponing who you truly are. The future you isn't out there. They're here, now, buried under layers of doubt, conditioning, and hesitation. And you access them not through fantasy, but through embodiment. To become that version, You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need to quit your job, move cities, or suddenly fake confidence you don't feel. You start small, micro decisions, subtle shifts in how you speak to yourself, in how you move, breathe, and respond. The future self isn't built in giant leaps. It's revealed through daily alignment. You don't become them someday. You become them today, choice by choice. But here's the challenge. Your nervous system is wired for safety, not success. And safety, to your body, is familiarity, which means even if your current circumstances are uncomfortable, they're known, they're predictable, and the moment you try to step beyond them, your system sounds the alarm. This is why so many people sabotage their progress, not because they're weak, but because their bodies are still holding the vibration of the past. So if you want to live a new reality, you have to teach your body that it's safe there, safe in abundance, safe in love, safe in visibility. Otherwise, your old identity will keep pulling you back, not because you're broken, but because you're still resonating with who you were. Reconditioning your nervous system isn't just a nice idea, it's a requirement. You must train it to feel at home in the future you've been imagining. That starts by interrupting your patterns. Pay attention to when you shrink, when you play small, when you default to fear or doubt. In those moments, ask yourself, what would the future me do here? Not the fantasy version, but the aligned one, the grounded, embodied, expanded self who isn't chasing, but being. Then act accordingly, not to perform, but to reprogram. And you don't need to wait for evidence. That's the beauty of the quantum field. It responds to your identity, not your calendar. When you stabilize your internal world, your external world begins to catch up. This isn't delusion, it's quantum causality. Your reality isn't built from what you believe is possible. It's built from what you're willing to embody. Let go of the idea that your dream life will feel like some sudden breakthrough moment. More often than not, it arrives quietly, as ease, as clarity, as the absence of resistance. It shows up in how you move through your day, not what happens to you, but how you respond. The aligned version of you doesn't hustle for worth. They walk with it. They don't wait for permission. They give it to themselves. This version of you already exists in the quantum field, not as potential, but as frequency. Every time you align with it, even for a moment, you strengthen the bridge between now and next. Until one day, that bridge disappears, and there's no more becoming, there's only being. You can't trick the quantum field. You can't whisper one thing in your thoughts, feel something entirely different in your heart, and act in opposition to both, and expect alignment. The universe doesn't listen to what you say, it listens to what you are, and what you are is measured by your coherence. Coherence is what happens when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all speaking the same language, when your entire being sends out one clear signal, free of contradiction, doubt, or inner conflict. That's when the field responds. Not because you begged it to, but because you finally became readable. Most people live in a state of constant energetic noise. They think abundance, but feel fear. They say affirmations, but carry resentment. They act confident, but shrink the moment uncertainty shows up. That internal dissonance sends out mixed signals, and mixed signals attract mixed results. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it can't respond to confusion. The field mirrors clarity, not desire, clarity. And clarity requires emotional congruence. It's not enough to think positively or set intentions on a full moon. If your nervous system is broadcasting lack, the field will mirror that. If your behavior reinforces the belief that you're not ready or not worthy, the universe agrees. Not because it wants to deny you, but because you're already denying yourself. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you entertain, every choice you make, they all stack into your frequency. The question isn't whether you're manifesting. You always are. The question is, what are you in coherence with? People often say they want abundance, but how do they treat themselves? How do they handle opportunities? How do they speak about money when no one is listening? Coherence means there's no split between your intentions and your instincts. That when you think abundance, you feel ease. When you feel ease, you act boldly. And when you act boldly, the field reflects a world that makes boldness worth it. It's a feedback loop, but it starts inside you. This is why change often feels like a purge, because in order to become coherent, you must confront all the parts of you that aren't. The patterns, the beliefs, the stories you inherited about who you are and what's possible. Coherence isn't a surface-level shift. It's a full-body recalibration. And that means discomfort. It means sitting with resistance, not bypassing it. It means choosing alignment over approval, integrity over habit. You'll know you're becoming coherent when your life begins to simplify, when decisions become easier, when you stop chasing outcomes and start attracting synchronicities that feel too precise to be accidents. You'll feel more calm, even when nothing external has changed yet, because inside, everything has. You're no longer splintered, you're whole. And wholeness doesn't plead, it resonates. Coherence is also contagious. The more aligned you become, the more your energy speaks before you do. People feel it. Rooms shift when you enter. Conversations deepen. Opportunities appear without being forced. It's not magic, it's magnetism. And magnetism doesn't chase, it draws in. Because when you become the signal, you stop looking for signs. You are the sign. So the work is simple, but not easy. Tune your thoughts, emotions, and actions until they hum in harmony, until they stop pulling in different directions. That's when the field begins to organize itself around you, not because it's finally listening, but because you finally are. You've probably seen it. A license plate with repeating numbers, the clock striking 11, 11, a sudden encounter that feels too aligned to be random, a song that plays at the exact moment a specific thought crosses your mind. These aren't just coincidences or comforting signs to keep going. They're feedback, echoes of your signal returning to you. The quantum field doesn't speak English. It speaks frequency. And when your frequency becomes coherent enough, refined enough, the field doesn't just reflect your desires. It begins to speak back. One of the clearest signs of this is the phenomenon of repeating numbers like 777. You're not seeing it because something good is coming. You're seeing it because you've become someone the field recognizes. It's a mirror saying, you've tuned into something real. These signals are acknowledgements of resonance, not promises, not fortune cookies, but energetic pings, confirming that your signal is being felt. You're not just thinking differently, you're transmitting differently, and the universe is responding in kind. But here's the subtle truth. Those signs don't mean you've arrived. They mean you're in transmission range. The broadcast is working. Now the real work begins, staying in that frequency without needing more proof. That's where most people slip. They treat synchronicities like a vending machine. Press a button, get a result. But the moment you start grasping at signs, interpreting every number or event as a message you need, you slip back into neediness. And neediness distorts frequency. Desperation is not a match to your dream life. Certainty is. That's why the deeper practice isn't chasing more signs, it's becoming the person who doesn't require them, who walks in faith, not in evidence. Because faith isn't blind, it's deeply aware. It senses the alignment before the world reflects it. And ironically, when you stop needing signs, they appear more. Not because you're chasing them, but because you're finally aligned with the silence they emerge from. Think of it this way. The field is like a great ocean, and your frequency is the ripple. When you're scattered, your ripple is erratic. Waves cancel each other out. But when you're in coherence, your ripple becomes steady, rhythmic, and clear. The field can detect you across distances you can't even comprehend. That's when people start messaging out of nowhere. That's when opportunities align without effort. That's when the right words find you at exactly the right time. Not because you're lucky, but because you're in signal. There's something powerful about trusting the field before you get the confirmation. Something world-shifting about moving from proof-based living to broadcast-based living. That's when the relationship with the quantum shifts from transactional to devotional. Not devotion to a deity, but to the truth of who you are. And when you stop broadcasting from the wounded version of you, the one who begs, who hopes, who doubts, and start transmitting from your wholeness, the universe replies in whispers too loud to ignore. It's in those quiet moments, between doubt and certainty, that you begin to notice how alive the field really is. That it's not just reflecting you, it's communing with you. Because you're not just inside reality, you're shaping it. Every breath, every choice, every vibration is either noise or signal. And the moment your signal clears, reality begins to arrange itself, not in accordance with your plans, but with your frequency. So the next time the numbers appear, the message flows, or the path clears, pause. Don't rush to interpret. Just breathe. Acknowledge that you're being reflected. And then return to your alignment, not to earn more signs, but because being aligned is the reward itself. You can't just leap from who you are now to who you want to be. That jump, the one most people try to make overnight, is the very reason they fall short. You don't quantum leap by skipping steps. You quantum leap by collapsing timelines through alignment. Transformation isn't a switch, it's a bridge. And the bridge is built, not with dramatic changes, but with subtle, consistent decisions that shift your identity moment by moment. This is the identity gap, the space between who you've been and who you're becoming, and crossing it requires far more than visualization or willpower. It requires embodiment. You can't simply declare, "I'm abundant," while making choices that echo lack. You can't say, "I'm confident," while shrinking in every room you walk into. You can't affirm, "I deserve love," while clinging to situations that devalue your worth. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you are. And who you are is reinforced by what you do when no one's watching. Every small choice, what you tolerate, how you speak to yourself, what you prioritize, either builds or breaks the bridge to your future self. This bridge isn't built with perfection, it's built with awareness. And awareness creates micro-movements that shift your baseline identity. When you stop choosing from survival and start choosing from expansion, even when it feels unfamiliar, you're closing the gap. When you catch yourself in a loop of self-doubt and you pause instead of spiraling, that's a brick laid on the bridge. When you show up 1% braver, 1% clearer, 1% more honest, you're reinforcing the signal you're trying to send. People often ask, how do I become that future version of me? The answer is simple, but not easy. You don't become them. You remember them. Because that version of you, resourced, fulfilled, confident, aligned, has always existed as a potential in the quantum field. Your job isn't to force their arrival. Your job is to become the version of yourself that allows them in. The you who no longer sabotages the dream. The you who stops negotiating your truth. The you who no longer asks for permission to expand. But this process will stretch you. You'll feel the resistance of your old programming clawing for control. You'll hear the voice that says, "This isn't safe," or "Who do you think you are?" That voice isn't your enemy. It's your past self asking for reassurance. Don't silence it with aggression. Calm it with presence. You don't kill your old self to become new. You integrate the old self into a higher pattern of being. That's the bridge. Integration, not elimination. Along the way, you'll notice that your external world starts shifting too, but subtly. The people who once resonated may fall away. The habits that used to numb you start to lose their grip. You'll find yourself saying no to things that once felt like home, not because you're better, but because you're different. And different vibrations don't cling to old patterns. They attract new ones. This is how identity reshapes destiny. And as you walk that bridge, you begin to collapse the illusion of someday. You no longer wait for a sign or a milestone or permission to be that version of yourself. You just decide. You embody the energy before the evidence arrives. You move as if it's already true, because energetically it is. And the moment that internal truth outweighs the need for external proof, reality catches up faster than you ever imagined. This is the path of sustainable manifestation, not rooted in force, but in frequency, not driven by desperation, but by identity. Your future isn't something you earn. It's something you remember into existence. and that remembrance becomes your frequency. Every step you take across that bridge is a step into coherence, a step into wholeness, a step into the life that's always been waiting for you to become the person who could hold it. Most people wait for life to change before they do. They wait for the bank balance to rise before they feel secure. They wait for love to appear before they feel worthy. They wait for opportunities to knock before they consider themselves chosen. But in the quantum world, waiting is a delay signal. Because the field doesn't move based on what's real, it moves based on what's observed. Your perception is not passive. It's the creative force shaping the very fabric of your experience. This is the observer effect, not a mystical metaphor, but a documented truth from quantum physics. The act of observing changes the outcome. You don't watch life unfold. You collapse possibilities into form by how you see them. And that means your reality is never objective. It's selective. Out of an infinite soup of potential, your focus becomes the sculptor, your belief becomes the architect, and your emotional state becomes the fuel. So, if you walk through life believing that things are stacked against you, that people can't be trusted, that you'll never have enough, you're not just expressing frustration, you're collapsing a version of the universe where those beliefs become real. The field bends to your certainty, not your wishes. But the moment you shift your lens, everything changes. When you stop looking for reasons to be anxious and start finding evidence of alignment, the data changes. When you stop expecting resistance and start anticipating flow, the field adjusts. When you stop needing proof and start embodying trust, life begins to reflect your inner steadiness. It's not magic, it's coherence. The real power isn't in the circumstances, it's in how you witness them. Two people can experience the same moment. One sees a dead end, the other sees a pivot point. One contracts in fear, the other expands in curiosity. The difference isn't luck, it's observation. Your perception is either a lens for limitation or a gateway to the unseen possibilities. And those who master this, those who train their minds not to deny reality, but to reinterpret it, become impossible to stop, because they no longer wait for the world to give them permission to feel free. They become free within, and the world follows. This is why certainty is so magnetic. Not arrogance, not blind optimism, but embodied certainty. The kind that says, I may not see how, but I know it's mine. That energy doesn't beg. It doesn't grasp. It doesn't push. It simply radiates. And in the quantum realm, that radiation draws to it experiences that match. Because the field isn't a reward system, it's a feedback loop. What you expect, with conviction, becomes what you get. This is where real manifestation lives. Not in mood boards or morning routines, but in the daily discipline of choosing how you see, of becoming so aware of your inner world that you notice when fear tries to dictate your view and gently shift back to truth. It's a practice, a choice, and it becomes your new baseline. And in this shift, something else happens. You stop reacting. You stop flinching at chaos. You stop doubting yourself every time life throws a curveball, because you know something most people don't. Perception is power. And your power doesn't come from controlling outcomes, it comes from controlling your lens. You become the type of person who doesn't need everything to go right in order to feel right, because you've realized that everything begins with how you see. So ask yourself this: what would change in your life if you began expecting the best instead of preparing for the worst? What would become possible if you saw obstacles as alignment, not punishment? What kind of signal would you broadcast if you stopped asking for reassurance and started walking like it's already done? You don't need more signs. You need more certainty, because the field responds, not to your potential, but to your presence. And the strongest signal you can ever emit is belief, not in an outcome, but in yourself as the creator of it. You were never meant to chase your dreams. You were meant to become the frequency that makes them inevitable. That's not a feel-good phrase. It's a truth that lives beneath the noise, buried under years of effort, hoping, striving, and trying to figure it all out. But what if the answer was never in the doing? What if it's always been about the being? The dream life you've been imagining, it's not a fantasy you pursue. It's a frequency you remember. This is the part they don't tell you. Not because it's secret, but because it doesn't fit into systems that profit off your confusion. They'll sell you courses, affirmations, crystals, and techniques. But the moment you fully realize that you already hold the code, that you are the code, the entire game shifts. Manifestation isn't about bending reality to your will. It's about removing the interference between who you think you are and who you really are. And that version of you, they're not waiting to be created. They're waiting to be remembered. Because the quantum field doesn't require effort. It requires coherence. And coherence is the result of full body alignment, when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors move in harmony, as if they're all speaking the same language. In that state, you're no longer asking for the life you want. You're living as someone who already belongs to it. That's when the shift happens, not when the world changes, but when you stop negotiating with your own power. This doesn't mean pretending or performing. It's not about faking confidence or forcing optimism. Embodiment is subtle. It's in the micro decisions, saying no when your old self would have said yes, pausing instead of reacting, walking a little slower because you're no longer rushing toward a future you believe is missing. The more you honor that energy, the more natural it becomes. Not because you've tricked the field into delivering, but because you've become unshakably aligned with the reality you once only imagined. And when this alignment stabilizes, your life begins to shift, not through force, but through magnetism. People sense it. Circumstances bend around it. The field organizes to support it. Because when your energy stops asking and starts becoming, the quantum responds in kind, not as a reward, but as a reflection. This is where your new life begins, not at the finish line of a goal, but in the moment you stop chasing the frequency and start being the frequency. It's in the moment you choose clarity over noise, truth over approval, coherence over chaos. It's in the moment you look around and say, even if nothing changes, I already feel it. I already am it. And ironically, that's when everything changes. Now ask yourself, are you ready to stop observing from the sidelines and step into the field as the creator? Are you ready to stop waiting for permission to feel free and start living as if you already are? Because the field doesn't need more dreams. It needs more people who remember who they really are. And when you become that person, consistently, unapologetically, everything else aligns, not because you pushed it into place, but because you became the signal it could finally respond to. And if you've made it this far, then you already know you're not here to be a passive receiver of life. You're here to be its broadcaster, a living, breathing transmission of the frequency you once thought was a fantasy. It's not someday, it's now. And the more you stabilize your signal, the more you'll realize your dream life isn't coming. It's already trying to meet you. You just have to stop stepping out of tune. If you want to live from this truth, not just once, but every day, then the real work begins now. Strip away the noise. Remove the masks. Tune into the version of you who doesn't wait for proof because they already know who they are. Live as them. Think like them. Move like them. And soon, the world will have no choice but to meet you at your frequency. If you're serious about stepping deeper into this path and you don't want to just listen to these truths, but live them, then join our free newsletter, Insights Academy. It's where we share the hidden knowledge that's too deep for YouTube. You'll also receive a free ebook copy of The Kybalion, but only for a limited time. Just use the link in the description. And remember, the field doesn't reward the passive. It responds to the aligned, to the ones who dare to walk as if it's already done. So choose now, not because you have to, but because you finally see that you always could. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting. I understood it.